guys, and I am back with another set of reviews for you. These are the next 5 books that I read while I was in Toronto. This is a mix of books that I brought with me and books that I picked up there, so I will let you know which is which as I go along. So the first book is Under the Greenwood Tree by Thomas Hardy. This is my third Hardy. As you guys know, I have read Tess of the Dubervilles and Far from the Madding Crowd before, and I quite enjoyed them, so I was eager to get to this. This is apparently one of his more cheerful books. I haven't gotten to any of his like really depressing ones. Tess was quite sad, but yeah, so this was quite interesting. This told the story of Fancy Day, who by the way has like the best name ever, and this is one of the first stories he ever wrote in his fictional Wessex County, which is a fictional county obviously in England, that he set a lot of his stories. So basically Fancy Day attracts all the boys to the yard because she is flawless. But she is only in love with one of them, and basically it's quite a sweet story. I didn't love this. Like, I loved Far from the Madding Crowd. Tess of the Dubervilles spoke to me. It was hard to get through, but it spoke to me. This, a little bit less so. This is quite a short work for Hardy. It's only like 200 pages, I want to say. But I did quite enjoy it, so if you're reading Hardy, read this. I would not recommend this as a place to start. It's not the most, like, grand of his works, but it is quite fun. Next up is another American classic that I didn't read in high school because it wasn't on the syllabi. I think this is, like, pretty much required reading if you go to school in America, but not elsewhere, and that is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. Pretty much everybody knows the story, but basically it deals with race relations in the south of the US, told through, I forget how old she is, but the narrator is quite young. Her name is Scout, or Jean Louise. I actually read this the day that Go Set a Watchman came out. I'm not sure if I'm going to read Go Set a Watchman simply because it is so controversial with the way that it was published, and like the issues of consent with publishing, that I'm not sure if I'm going to read it. Basically, if my mom brings it into the house, I will read it. Otherwise, I'm not going to. Yeah, I quite enjoyed this. I think I would have had a better connection had I read it as a young adult as opposed to being fully an adult. But I still quite enjoyed this. Yeah, I don't really have a lot to say about this book. I feel like in Canada it's not as like, at least not in the 2000s, race relations in Canada are not as tumultuous as the ones are in the United States, so I feel like I didn't make as much of a connection with that. But yeah, it was good. I still think it's an important work of literature. I would think I would have liked it better if I had read it when I was younger. That's all I really have to say about it. Next up is a book I bought in Toronto. I also bought To Kill a Mockingbird in Toronto. It was like $3.99. And the next book I read is the only book I paid full price for, and that is Ali Smith's How to Be Both. Wow. I did not know what to expect when walking into this. The reason I got this, and this is kind of an amusing story, is there was a bookshop about 20-minute walk from where I was staying. And it's a small chain. There's like 2 of them in Toronto, and I'd been to the other one and I quite enjoyed it. And I thought, oh, I'm gonna walk to that. That'll be fun. It was 40 degrees and ridiculously humid, and so I died a little on the inside walking because it was so hot. And I got there, and the bookshop's quite small, and they didn't really have anything I wanted. And I remembered Holly from Library at the Edge of the World talking about this, and I was like, there's no way I walked 20 minutes in 40-degree weather and I'm not getting a book. So I picked this up. This book is really interesting. It is told from 2 perspectives. It is a stream of consciousness book, which is not my favorite style of writing, but I did quite enjoy it in this. Depending on which edition you get, it varies which narrator comes first. So one of the narrators is a Renaissance painter, the other one is a girl from our era, like the 2000s. Mine started with the Renaissance painter. I quite enjoyed it because I have studied art history. I studied art history in Florence, so I could really connect with this. I don't think that this book is for everyone. I think if you really don't like stream of consciousness, if you really don't like books that try to be really smart, don't read this. Like, not to say that books can't try to be smart, but this tries hard. So if you don't like that, don't read it. I can see why some people don't like this book. I quite enjoyed it. And yeah, I'm become quite a fan of Ali Smith. I've actually read 2 Ali Smith books now, because I picked them up while I was there. So next up is the last book I brought with me, and I read it as a buddy read with a bunch of different booktubers. Yamini, Jean from, Jean's Bookish Thoughts, and a bunch of other people, and basically, yeah, we had some really intense Voxer discussions on this, and I think I was the only one who liked this book, so yes. And that is Francois Sagan's Bonjour Tristesse. Once again, if my French is off, please correct me nicely in the comments below. You guys know I handle that well, but I think I got it right. I can say bonjour quite well. This is one of the few French words I can. Also contained in this is A Certain Smile. This was picked as Waterstone's rediscovered classics a couple months ago, so I was quite eager to get into this. Basically, this is the story of Cecile, and she is a spoiled rich girl in France, and her world is changing, and she reacts really poorly to it. All unlikable characters in this book, and I think that's why a lot of people didn't like it. I liked it because it had unlikable characters. I think I definitely preferred Bonjour Tristesse to A Certain Smile, though I did really enjoy A Certain Smile. A Certain Smile deals with Dominique and some questions of like morality in a very French way, which I quite enjoyed. I would definitely recommend this if you like unlikable characters, if you like French literature. Yeah, if you like your characters to be likable and you want to be able to stand behind them, avoid this. If you like unlikable characters, pick this up. It is fantastic. I quite enjoyed this. Also, she was really young when she wrote this, Francois Sagan. So yeah, that's rather remarkable. It's also, Bonjour Tristesse is a little bit autobiographical, I think, in parts, judging from what I know, and that the main character failed her exams, and Francois Sagan failed her exams, and then she wrote the book, so you can see the connection. But yes, this was quite good. So last for these reviews is an author I'd never heard about before. I was kind of a bit desperate to pick up books and find things to read, and I kind of panicked a little bit, and so I went into BMV, which is a used and overstock bookstore in Toronto, and just looked for Black Penguin classics and like Oxford classics, and so I ended up getting The Wild Irish Girl by Sydney Owenson, or Lady Morgan, as she later became. This is a piece of nationalistic 18th century Irish literature. Basically, this deals with Horatio, who is a son of an English lord. He gets like into all kinds of trouble in London, and so his dad banishes him to Ireland, in which he meets, basically like, he finds a dilapidated castle where like a deposed king and his daughter and a Catholic priest are residing, and he lies about who he is because like his family is the reason why they're deposed. And yeah, it's an epistolary novel, which is not my favorite style of writing, but this worked quite well in this. I really enjoyed this. Not like, read this if you're interested in 18th century literature, and especially 18th century Irish literature. I would not recommend this to the casual reader. This is not for the people who are just, you know, like Jane Austen. This is not for people who like Jane Austen. If that's like your niche in classics is like Jane Austen, the Brontes. This is quite different from that. It's very nationalistic. It's very like pro-Irish. It's very talking about like it reminded me a lot when it was talking about Irish peasants of like the noble savage kind of, you know, ideals that people tend to do with Native Americans in literature. It was very similar to that. I found it interesting from a historical perspective, less so from a literary perspective. So yes, keep that in mind if you're choosing to read this. Very interesting historically, less so literally. Yeah, so that is my next bit of reviews that I read when I was in Toronto, and I will see you guys in another video. Bye!